a Look, the podcast bringing back the personal pop culture recommendation with Rin and Roger.
Hello everyone and welcome to Give It a Look. Guten Tag to our new German listeners this week and howdy, I guess, to our US listeners. My name is Roger and I'm here with my co-host Rin. Rin, what do you think we should start calling our followers?
I was thinking lookers. What are your thoughts?
I was thinking that too.
Same brain.
I was thinking about it, but then I thought I don't want our audience to feel like I'm hitting on them all at the same time. Or do I?
Fair call.
You've been pretty busy this week, Rin. You've been putting together a few social platforms for us. Did you want to take us through where we are on socials?
We have launched ourselves on Twitter and on Instagram. So for Twitter, you can find us at Give It a Look Pod. Our Instagram handle is at Give It a Look Podcast. And if anyone wants to send us any emails, you can email us at giveitalook1@outlook.com.
So many ways to reach us. What's your excuse not to do it? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. We'd also like to encourage everyone to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, which we're now set up on. I'm going to read my favourite review so far. We were given 5 stars from Bathwater Baby. Thank you very much, Bathwater Baby. They say, one of the best movie podcasts going around. The hosts know they are movies and offer great insights and have great chemistry and banter together. Would highly recommend. Rin, did you wake up this morning with the knowledge that you yourself were a movie?
Well, it definitely makes sense why there's always, background music as I walk around and, when I fall, there's that bow bow kind of music going on as well, kind of explains a lot.
I have a little bit of an internal monologue going on, stranger than fiction style. So thank you, Bathwater Baby, for illuminating the truth to us. I'll make sure I do something constructive with this knowledge. And hey, for everyone out there, if your life is going to be a movie, just make sure it's a good one or something like that. Moving on. We are in the middle of Music Month here at Give It a Look. So we have given each other an album that the other has never listened to back to front. We're going to start with Rin, your recommendation to me. What was it this week?
I gave you the 2007 self-titled album Scouting for Girls. I came across this album when I first watched the movie Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. And there's song She's So Lovely in it. And then I loved that song. And then I just kind of went from there and listened to the album. And I listened to, I think, the next 2 albums after that. I mean, I love it. I recently was just listening to it again because, I gave it to you. So I thought, give it a listen as well. And I was like, oh man, I forgot these jams. They're so good. But yeah, what did you think?
During my research on this album, I came across the Urban Dictionary page for Scouting for Girls. Now, I normally wouldn't go to Urban Dictionary for this kind of thing, but I thought this was interesting. There are 2 different definitions offered by Urban Dictionary, so I'm going to read them both. The first one says, Scouting for Girls, noun, a totally awesome band from the UK who gave us catchy tunes like She's So Lovely and Elvis Ain't Dead. Buy their album. They're amazing live too. Using in a sentence, I just downloaded the Scouting for Girls album. What an awesome album. I'm so glad I didn't download a virus.
That's always nice.
The second definition was written a little bit earlier, so it's as if the first definition was written in response to the second one. And it says, Scouting for Girls, noun, an overrated band from the UK who tortured us with music such as She's So Lovely and Elvis Ain't Dead. The band has a repetitive style and tries to be funny. The band members are abnormally ugly. Use it in a sentence. I just downloaded the Scouting for Girls album by Scouting for Girls. What a pile of unimaginably untalented shit. I'd rather have downloaded a virus.
I'm so glad you found that. That's hilarious.
So this album straddles the line of those 2 definitions more than most.
Is it you either hate it or you love it kind of fans?
What I will say is this album is a snack. This album is not a meal. Now, I really like snacks, right? What I don't like is many, many snacks stacked on top of each other because that's going to rot your teeth. On first listen, I had a really pleasant time with this. It's very, very hooky, very self-assured, filled to the gills with jaunty piano bits and hand claps and lots and lots of little vocal hooks. I tried to think of what kind of local band I would compare them to, and what I thought was the Aussie band Shepherd. is probably the closest one I can compare them to.
Oh, yes, I can see that. They're very like repetitive in their lyrics, aren't they?
It's more the fact that the songwriting isn't quite there, but the enthusiasm is great. And I've seen Shepherd live, and if you just want to bop around like a preteen for a few hours, they're great value. And I'm sure their fans would agree.
Yeah.
But I found that this album became worse with repeat listens. It made me realise that, yeah, there is kind of a draggy quality to the songs here. The aesthetic they give off is definitely this kind of cheeky lads at the back of the class putting together little ditties. My favourite track, I would say, is probably It's Not About You, because it's probably the best example of them building as many little vocal hooks around these 4 chords as they can. And it just kind of builds and layers into this final chorus, which has about 5 different vocal tracks running. And it almost has like a musical theatre kind of feel to it. Tell me a bit more about your love for this album.
I was going for a walk and, I was listening to it again. I'm like, oh, I love this. And then I listened to the next one after that as well. You said snack, and I am known amongst friends as a snack queen, so maybe that's fitting for me. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, my favourite songs are kind of obviously She's So Lovely. I love Heartbeat. Like that song makes me laugh because, I think there's a lyric where they say, she's up for a laugh and she's a pain in the ass. And I was like, oh my God, is that about me? That's me.
Do both,
I can laugh and be a pain in the ass. I don't know. Yeah, again, they're all just really catchy. There's songs, again, I've mentioned before, I like songs I can kind of sing to. They're not an album I'll listen to all the time, but it was nice to kind of go back and reminisce. And because when I, was listening to these songs as well, I would have been like 14, 15. So again, it's that nostalgia for me, and it puts me back in a time where I was like discovering a lot of new music, I suppose. I got a new iPod, and getting on new iTunes and things like that. So, and also, you know what? It's good because it's a short album. It's not long. It's less than 40 minutes, which, is always nice. You don't want an album that goes for, an hour and a half or something. Not necessarily anyway. Not me. It was funny. I was doing some research as well, and I was reading that album, Scouting for Girls, reached number 1 in the UK album charts for about maybe 2 weeks, and then it got knocked off, obviously, by Adele's album 19. Fair enough. That's a big wig. That album is epic as well.
You mentioned you like the sing-along quality of it, and I could definitely see that there. I'm a real lover of harmony. Like I said, all the vocal hooks are there to become an earworm. Can I ask you a couple of songs on here that sound like other songs? Did you find that the piano intro to the Airplane song sounded a little bit like Elton John's Your Song?
I don't know. I haven't picked that up. Your Song is one of my favourite songs, so I didn't pick that up.
I have a challenge as well for some of our older listeners. I challenge you to listen to the start of Elvis Ain't Dead and not start singing Blinded by the Light, revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night, because that's the first thing I thought of as well. Elvis Ain't Dead is interesting too. I actually quite like the conceit of the song that, someone is so upset and so delusional, if you like, thinking that, their love is going to come back, that they also believe that Elvis ain't dead. This saying that, it's like saying, oh yeah, pigs can fly.
I love the song, was it I Wish I Were James Bond? And I just love how he kind of names all the actors, and then at the end he's like, and then maybe me kind of thing, like he wants to be James Bond. I just think that's quite a comical song, and I think all the songs, they're all quite comical, and they're just there. Yeah, you're right, they're just like a pub band there for a bit of a laugh.
It's cheesy, like you gotta like your cheese,
but I think it's a feel good out. Like it doesn't make you feel bad, the album, do you know what I mean? Like you feel quite happy, and they're not depressing songs, they're quite upbeat, and that's really nice, especially if you just want to have a little bit of a bop and a bit of a snack.
Yeah, no, it's well summed up. I felt it ran out of steam a bit towards the end. We got to, Mountains over Navajo and James Bond. Yeah, I think it is a little bit kind of front-loaded with some of the better songs. If I was to listen to this kind of style of music, I would probably chuck on bands that I think have done it better, like the Fratellis or the Wombats.
Yeah, Wombats are very good.
Yeah, a lot of their songs kind of surround abandonment and stuff like that. Anything else to add, Rin?
I've got some trivia for you.
Oh, sure.
She's So Lovely was in the movie Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, but the book is called Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging. Yes, I was thinking full frontal snogging as opposed to like full back snogging or something. Like, okay, number 2 is in that movie, Georgia Groom, the actress, She has been in a relationship with Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley from Harry Potter, for like 10 years, and they just had a baby. There you go. There's some trivia for you.
Beautiful. Were you smitten by Aaron Taylor Johnson back then as well?
Oh, yes. That was probably his, would have been like kind of his shot into fame per se, because after that he started doing like Kick-Ass and Godzilla and all that as well. He's nice to look at, let's be honest. Like
Ladies love a man on bass, as they say.
That's why you watch the film. Right now we're talking about the album of Scouting for Girls. So tell me, what's your verdict?
My verdict is, I'm going to be fair here. I'm going to say give it a look, even with all those provisos, because, first listen, I was like, yep, I know what this is, and there's definitely an audience for this. So I think people should make up their own mind. So give it a look for me.
Ooh, yes. Okay, one for the list. Another one.
We keep talking about this list. Look, it rules our life. We're creating our own algorithm. We have to stop doing that. You said you wouldn't do this.
All right, well, shall we move on?
Yeah, no worries. My recommendation to you, Rin, is the second album from Anberlin, Never Take Friendship Personal. Rin, as you know, I've grown up in church, and when I was 16, I was given the responsibility of putting together a dramatic piece or something along those lines for an event that my youth group was holding. It was a lot of responsibility, and I had no ideas, right? Nothing was coming to me. But a friend came up to me and said, hey, I know this great song, and I reckon you could do some kind of interpretive dance or something to this song. I was like, yep, sure, I've got no ideas. Tell me about it. And the song was Paper Thin Hymn by Anberlin, which is track 2 on this album. I'd never heard this band before. Listened to the track and I was like, this is amazing. And I took the idea back to my team, but they said, no, I don't think that's going to work. What actually ended up happening, I ended up writing like a monologue about a school shooting. A school shooting. Yeah, which I look back on now and I'm like, why didn't that idea get rejected? Because it was super dark and super manipulative, and I feel like my team should have known better.
That's heavy.
Even though that piece wasn't my greatest, I've had a very close relationship with Anberlin and their music ever since. I think as a little church kid with some punk rock in my heart, Anberlin was just a perfect fit. It meant a lot to me to have musicians that I had something in common with, that were creating music for a wide audience and really writing about life and love and faith and all the spectrum of human experience, putting together the kind of music that could stand beside, the best stuff of the era, along with your Fall Out Boys and your All Time Lows and your My Chems and whatever. This was produced on Tooth and Nail Records, which is kind of known for being this, what would you say, para-Christian or Christian adjacent rock label. Mm-hmm. And I still feel like a lot of affection for this kind of subgenre and the kind of bands that are and were a part of it. There's a couple of guest vocals on this album from their Tooth and Nail bandmates. It was produced by Aaron Sprinkle, who was kind of like the in-house wonderkind, if you like. I've seen Anberlin 4 times live. Maybe 5. I have met them very briefly during a...
Did you fangirl?
Yeah. I have a bottle which Stephen, their lead singer, threw out into the crowd at their last Melbourne show in 2014.
Is it in a Ziploc bag, like all safe?
I'm making my own Stephen Christian clone.
Then you can just dance, monkey, dance,
I think they should be commended for the kind of work they've done over COVID, producing 6 or 7 live concerts being live streamed over the internet with some pretty impressive production work. Anyway, I've fanboyed out enough. What were your opening impressions of this album?
I remember when you gave me this, after we'd finished recording, I played it and I was like, oh my gosh. And it just suddenly was like really heavy sounding. And I said to you, do I need to get out my hair straightener and, pop on all my eyeliner as well? Yeah, it kind of took me back to being a teenager again and listening to that kind of music. Like, it's interesting that you were saying before it's kind of known as, quotation marks here, Christian band, because I was reading through, like skimming through the lyrics, and I was kind of like, these lyrics are actually quite clean. Like, there's no swearing, which I was expecting, because you kind of hear it and you kind of judge it based on sound in that regard, as opposed to actual lyrics. One of the things I liked was, again, it was a short album, less than 40 minutes, so easy to kind of, when you're going for a walk or something, to listen to. My favorite songs were probably, Paper Thin Hymn. I liked The Runaways, and I liked the Feel Good Drag, and they kind of have that real, it's like a post-hardcore kind of to it. Like, sorry, excuse me, everybody, but, has that kind of punk emo kid inside it who goes, yes, this is what I want to hear. The music kind of reminded me of music by, Linkin Park, Rise Against, like those kind of bands, which, again, I used to kind of listen to a bit more in my youth. I sound like I'm really old. Well, I am basically 80 years old. But, yeah, I just found it really interesting. Like, the more I was kind of reading into it, the more it was, quite clean.
Bit of experimentation with screamo on there as well. Anberlin have never been a screamo band, and I think they wanted to do less of it, because as soon as you introduce screamo elements, you're getting even more and more niche. But they give it their best. The bottom line is, you have to like guitars if you're going to listen to this album, because everything's crammed up to 11. There's some absolutely beautiful guitar work. Paper Thin Hymn is probably the best example of that. It's probably the most rocking song anyone has ever written about their late grandmother. Funnily enough, there's always something about Paper Thin Hymn which reminds me of the song Boys of Summer. The lead guitar in the chorus, if you hone in on it, it's going, which is quite similar to the synth line in the back of Boys of Summer. So I can't kind of get that comparison out of my head. I really liked Stationary as well. And also the closing track, Dance Dance, Krista Pefkin.
I was watching the film clip for the Feel Good Drag, because I was reading the lyrics as well. I read somewhere that it's about one of the band's dying sister or something, but the way I was reading it was, I thought it was about infidelity. So I'm going to go with how I interpret it.
I think it's their best effort at pushing back the advances of a would-be cheater using the power of rock. So.
Yeah, exactly. They talk about, what was it, like sin and the devil's hand and everyone seeing everybody in this town. And I was like, well, that's about infidelity right there. That's the thing with a lot of these alternative bands, a lot of the music is about like heartbreak and love found and love lost. And again, this album kind of reminded me of that era. I'm going to say between 2005 to 2010-ish was probably quite an alternative year of music. You got your Panic at the Disco, you got your Fall Out Boy, you've got, Paramore. We went and saw Paramore a few years ago.
We did.
That was so fun. Again, just listening to this album, I listened to it, I think 4 times this time. Again, it's a short album. And I really wanted to kind of get more out of this album. Next time I might have to bring out the hair straightener and do myself up.
You definitely need the headphones too. I love the opening track, how it's the guitar starts clipped in the left earphone and then it goes over to the right earphone, and then the bass and drums come in and it's still clipped, and then it kind of spreads out from there and you go, whoa, these guys mean business.
Funny story is, when I was listening to the first song, because I had my earphones in, I thought one of my earphones stopped working and then it kicked in. I was like, oh, okay, there it is.
Got him.
Got me.
There's some nice flourishes here lyrically. Stephen, the lead singer, is a poet of sorts. In A Day Late, he says, now we both have separate lives and lovers. Insignificantly enough, we both have significant others. A nice one. And also on the final track, it says, if London's calling, don't you dare pick up the phone. Only you entwined could make this orphan feel at home. Lips that need no introduction. Now I'm waiting for your call. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, then your touch is worth them all. Which, Rin, you've just seen I've recited from memory.
Nerd.
Did anything stick out lyrically, or was it a bit garbled? Because Stephen has quite a bit of a froggy kind of voice.
Again, it's not quite like Scouting for Girls, where it's, it's not that repetitive, easy kind of boppy listening. It's kind of, you got a lot going on. You got a lot of the instruments, you got a lot of screamo-ish sounds in there as well. Not, it's not something I could grasp, the lyrics. Like, they're not as clear to me, I suppose. So, yes, I'd have to look at the lyrics and then sing it, I think.
Few little trivia points. So the Feel Good Drag is actually a very important song for Anberlin in a wider respect, because they re-recorded recorded it on album number 4 with a few different production flourishes and released it as a single, and it became kind of a minor alternative rock hit and essentially ensured that their career could keep going on. So I do prefer the version on here. It's just an interesting story that it became kind of this other thing a bit further down the track. Audrey Start the Revolution, which is track 9, is named after Audrey Hepburn, which Stephen has said he was a fan of her charity work. I just want to hone in on the final track, Dance Dance Krista Pefkin. Krista Pefkin was the name of Nico, who used to sing with the Velvet Underground. And it kind of takes the point of view of someone watching this kind of manic pixie dream girl dancing at a club and being completely transfixed. I know you've said you're not a fan of long tracks. This track's about 7 minutes. So how did you go with it?
Yeah, you know me. It's a bit of struggle town. I think the only really long song that I kind of like from memory is pre-AFL Grand Final Meatloaf. His songs are quite long. I quite like them. Don't at me, guys. Also, Bohemian Rhapsody. Those are probably the longest songs that I kind of like, and that's about it. But again, it wasn't intolerable. Yeah, I tolerated the 6 minutes. It was fine.
That's a quotable quote. I tolerated the 6 minutes. Wrapping up, a lot of Anberlin fans would probably gravitate more towards their third album, Cities, as kind of Anberlin's signature album and signature sound. Mm-hmm. I just think this is a stronger and more focused effort. Cities, for me, gets a little bit bogged down in the second half.
I want to discuss the name. When I hear Anberlin, what pops into my head is Anberlin, as in King Henry VIII's one of his wives, but I couldn't find anything about that. So I was like, I was a bit disappointed, I'm not going to lie. There was stories about it being Berlin, kind of, as in Berlin, the city kind of thing.
I think they made up all those stories because they got sick of being asked where it came from. I don't think it came from anywhere in particular. The album title, Never Take Friendship Personal, one, it's a saying that's kind of attributed to Stephen's grandfather, as in be wary of your friends. Mm-hmm. But they also chose it because some of this album is about them firing one of their first guitarists. It opens with Stephen talking about how he had a dream that he murdered the guitarist. That's kind of the feeling that was going on in the
There must have
been
a lot of animosity there.
Anything else to add?
It's interesting origin names, isn't it? Like Scouting for Girls, that's just a play on words from the handbook of Scouting for Boys, the Scouts book, which 2 of the members of Scouting for Girls, where they met in Scouts. And I was also a Cub Scout. But yes, my verdict, here it comes. Okay, give it a look. Not something I'll probably listen to often, but I don't hate it.
Ren, I think this is the first time we've had 2 Give It a Looks outside of our unpublished pilot episode. That's pretty cool. And both these albums can be found on all major music streaming services if you'd like to join in the fun. If you have an opinion on either of these albums, please let us know on our socials. Ren, can you take us through where we can be reached once more?
Yeah, so we can be found on Twitter. Our handle is at Give It a Look Pod. You can also find us on Instagram. Our handle is at Give It a Look Podcast. Or you could give us an email at giveitalook1@outlook.com. We'd really love to hear your feedback. We'll be posting, questions, seeing what you guys think each week. Give it a follow, as such.
We're going to give it and everything, aren't we?
Give it everything, that's right.
We have 1 more week left in October, which means 1 more week left in Music Month. So what is the final album you are recommending to moi?
We're going back again. I'm giving you the 2011 album, The Wombats proudly present This Modern Glitch, sticking with UK bands.
Excellent. I was going to give you a particular album, Rin, but then these boys went and announced a national tour this week and I got very excited in my pants. The album is Animal. The band is Motor Ace from Melbourne, Australia, our local boys. Probably known as their least typical album. They were kind of like pub rockers and Animal was much more of a mellow kind of affair. I really enjoy it, even if the rest of Australia didn't.
Are you giving me this album so we may go to this said concert?
I've got my ticket and you're welcome to. But yeah, keen to see what you think.
Cool.
That's it for this week on Give It a Look. Rin, anything to say signing off?
Give our socials a follow, everybody. That would be great.
We are everywhere. We are Legion. See you next week, everyone.
Bye.